Welcome back to another episode of Video Game Therapy, and today we are talking indie innovations. Specifically, 5 fantastic indie games that you've probably never played. So we're all suckers for big AAA titles, right? The games that look good, the games that smell good, the games that taste good. And about half the time, they play good as well. Now, I'll tread lightly in what I say here because really it's just a segue into the point of the video, but for all the great things that AAA games offer to us, they rarely introduce innovative gameplay. Focus on the word innovative here because modern AAA titles can be and are still fantastic games, but they tend to be just improved versions of tried and tested gaming mechanics. The scope for a AAA developer to really try and innovate outside of the box is small because innovation means experimentation, and experimentation means there's no guarantee that it's going to be any good because it's a fucking experiment. Take a look at God of War, for example. I know I'm talking about God of War again. Why wouldn't I? It's my favourite game, one of a handful of games I never ever tire of playing. But ultimately, its gameplay is nothing innovative. It's just the most polished version of a hack and slash game. So where do us gamers go to taste something a little bit more unconventional, to step outside of our comfort zone and try something a little more risque? The black market? A street vendor in Shoreditch? Amsterdam? No. We turn to the world of indie games, made by smaller studios and development teams, or sometimes just one fucking person. Indie games cannot afford the millions of dollars necessary for high fidelity graphics or bar-log standard game direction. This means that indie devs need to capture their audience in other ways, the most important being gameplay. There is significantly less pressure for indie games to be massive commercial successes. And because of this, indie games are an absolute fucking breeding ground of experimental and sometimes innovative gameplay. I'm not saying that all indie games are awesome because they're most certainly not. There's a lot of shit out there. Nor am I saying that every time an indie developer tries something outside of the box does it work. I mean, look, there are fucking hundreds of independently developed games out there, and with things like Unity and the accessibility of technology at the moment, pretty much anybody can create and publish a game. So we have our Celestes, we have our Hollow Knights, our Dead Cells, Cupheads, all great games, literally some of the best games ever made right there, but ultimately they are all just good games following standard gameplay models. Every now and then though, we get a game that bursts onto the scene and smashes the gaming world in the face with a sledgehammer and says, "Look at me, I'm different." Do you remember the first time you ate pancakes with bacon and maple syrup? Bacon with pancakes and maple syrup? Then that first forkful hit your taste buds and you were like, how do I turn back the clocks? How was I not greeted with this upon exiting the womb? The idea of fusing two unlikely elements together to create something special yet strikingly simple. There are but a few indie titles that have done this with as much success as Rocket League. It's football in cars. Undertale takes the outside the box concept to the next level by taking an RPG game and delivering everything that you don't expect in just about every single way. It's a prominent reminder to us that flashy modern graphics don't have to be a factor in the creation of a perfect game. But most indie titles don't ever make it to the dizzying heights of Undertale or Rocket League or Hollow Knight. There's also a bunch of other absolutely amazing indie titles that didn't cut through the crowd and become the champions of the indie world. But somewhere in the middle, there's a Pandora's box of some incredible indie games that fell by the wayside to some degree, despite their unconventional take on gameplay. So here are 5 indie games that you probably have never played, but should, immediately. Number 5, Double Kick Heroes. Do you like rhythm games? Do you like heavy metal? No. Get out. Go. Leave. Seriously though, if you enjoy even just one of those things, in fact, fuck it, even if you enjoy none of those things, I am urging you to go and try this game. This game is exactly what it looks like here. You're a rock band playing on the back of a Cadillac, shooting and surviving against hordes of monsters and ghouls that chase you down. But you've got to hit the beat to shoot. Switching between R1 and L1 determines which gun you shoot from, which is what takes care of enemies at the top or the bottom of your screen respectively. It's a control scheme that becomes second second nature, and one that gives you immense gratification when you get it right. The game has a built-in story mode which has an amazing soundtrack. The songs are made to both emphasize gameplay and get stuck in your head for weeks. The story itself doesn't really add anything to the game, you might get a laugh or two out of it, but ultimately the beauty is in the gameplay, as is generally the case for rhythm-based games. There's also an arcade mode for just running through the songs, a Fury Road mode which has daily challenges on it and can be used to unlock cosmetics for your vehicle, but the best bit, there is a community section where you can upload your own tracks or play tracks that others have uploaded. You just have to have the MP3 on your PC and you can play the track through the game's engine. And if there's anything you don't like about the automated versions, there's even an editor if you want to change things up. All in all, just a really fun game. Number 4, The End is Nigh. If you watched my video a couple of weeks ago where I was talking about good games with bad review scores, you may recall me talking about Super Meat Boy Forever, the official sequel to 2010's Super Meat Boy, created by the remaining half of Team Meat after the other half, Edmund McMillan, left the company to go solo and create The Binding of Isaac. You may also recall me saying that the game reviewed so badly because it was constantly being sized up against its predecessor, when really the game was more of a spin-off. Anyway, you know what looks way more like a Meat Boy sequel? The End is Nigh, created by Edmund McMillan after The Binding of Isaac. Many actually credit this game as Meat Boy's spiritual successor. It's packed full of the same sinister level design and that tight, precise platforming we came to love so much in Super Meat Boy. The difference though with The End is Nigh is that rather than the levels being side or vertical scrolling, each area is presented on screen, in the same way as games like Celeste. It also means that when you die, you start back from that particular section rather than the beginning of the level. Sound easier than Meat Boy? Well, fear not. You platforming junkies have been well taken care of. The change of level mechanics is compensated by well thought out, relentless gameplay that at times is soul-crushingly difficult. If you were a Super Meat Boy fan, there's a whole other Super Meat Boy-esque experience to be had here, and born of the same mind no less. You should go play this game immediately. Well, after this video. Number 3, the haunted PS1 demo disc. I'm kind of cheating here because this really isn't just one game. It's 17 games. Some are just demos and others feel like they're completely finished, but this whole thing is completely free. I will leave a link in the description so you can go grab it yourself. So what is it? Well, it's exactly as the name suggests. It's a really quirky take on nostalgia. For those of you around the 30 mark like myself, I'm sure you remember the PlayStation 1 demo discs. There were many. I got most of mine from PlayStation magazines. Well, this is a really fun take on that. These games are all independently produced, spooky horror-esque games using PlayStation 1 era graphics. Yes, individually these games aren't perfect and can feel at times confusing and janky, but that's what it was like to play PlayStation 1 games. That's the real beauty here. This isn't only trying to give you some fun gaming experiences, but also trying to capture a time gone by where the landscape of video games was much different. A time where commercial success was less of a dictator of what games should look like and how they should play. Games today allow you to go anywhere and do anything. And whilst I'm thankful for the way games are now, playing through these games evokes memories and feelings that your modern gaming brain has pushed to the darkest, most unused corners of your mind. You'll find yourself recalling the sheer wonder of discovering a new area that you didn't know existed, or reaching a ledge that the controls had you battling with for 15 minutes, finding an objective item amongst the fuzzy graphics without the game making it obvious what it is and where to find it. The haunted PS1 demo disc is a must-try experience, and it's 100% free, so why the fuck not? I wonder how many of these fucking videos are filmed with dinner down me. Number 2, Golf Story. Top-down RPGs, when done right, are some of the world's greatest gaming experiences, usually following the same Japanese story tropes of a young wannabe adventurer who leaves their old life behind to fulfill their destiny, whether that be to banish dark from the world and restore light, or lock away the ancient evil and restore peace to the land, or golf. Yes, golf. This delightful RPG takes you on a typical top-down RPG quest through 8 worlds on your journey to become a golf pro. An RPG with added golf. The humorous nature of the story and the characters that you meet on your journey will undoubtedly make you smile, and the music is a fantastic accompaniment to the gameplay. And the golf gameplay is super fun and a fantastic new take on a really simple idea. There's a good degree of mastery to it, and I promise you'll find yourself as addicted to the golfing side of the game as you will to the RPG side of the game. All in all, this is a fantastic indie title, and one that is just so worth 16 hours of your life. Number 1, Sayonara Wild Hearts. If you're my friend, like we know each other personally, there's a good chance that you are sick to death of me babbling on about this game. But my god, Sayonara Wild Hearts is a secret, hidden piece of mastery. This is one of those games that's actually really hard to describe what the fuck it actually is. It's much easier for you to just go and play it, but I know that's not how it works, so I'll give it a good go. The game is basically a visual, playable electro synth pop album. Still with me? In some ways, it's not really even a game at all. Well, I mean, it is, but a common theme within video games is the idea of failing, the fear of failure, the fear of getting it wrong. And whilst you can fail on Sayonara Wild Hearts, this isn't the point of the game. The point is to experience the visuals, the music, and the gameplay in tandem. Therefore, if you do get something wrong, the game does a really good job of seamlessly re-entering you into the experience without dulling or jarring it. Explaining it in this way could give you the wrong impression that this makes the game passive rather than something that's exciting, but that just isn't the case. Rarely have I ever played something that I just wanted to keep going until I reach the end. The game takes so many turns in its gameplay and will keep you on the hook indefinitely. Its single and only downfall is that the game takes only about an hour to get through, but its ranking system allows for replayability. And remember, as I said at the beginning, this game is kind of like a playable album, and do you only listen to your favourite albums once? Once you've played this game, you will find yourself revisiting it time and again, sometimes for the music, sometimes for the gameplay, and sometimes for the visuals. Sayonara Wild Hearts will make you feel many things, all good. Please, please, go and play this game. Thank you so much for watching. Like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.